is based out of my need to feel secure in this relationship. Because if you're pushing me away, saying, I don't want to talk about this right now, I start feeling like insecure. Well, don't you care?
Right, we are in the kitchen once again with our great kitchen couples, Mike and Diane Clemens, Dan and Danielle McCauley, and runners and chasers. That's pretty good stuff from Dr. Jonathan Hoover.
It sounds like a movie title, doesn't it?
Right.
Runners and Chasers.
I'm pretty sure I'm a runner, hon.
I'm pretty
would you
sure
concur?
you are too.
Sometimes, you know, you want an answer to something, and you know, I'm feeling, as he said, you know, boxed in and just kind of thinking, oh, I
We have to
don't want
talk
to
about this right now.
Right now.
We have to.
And I'm kind of saying, well, I need a little maybe space, a little time, and I need to noodle it a little bit in my brain, but I don't know if I can give you an answer right now. So I'm definitely the runner, and I just kind of retreat at those times.
I have learned to kind of calm myself down. When I feel like I need an answer, we need to talk about this because it's important and someone's waiting or whatever, I need to kind of calm myself down and say, okay, it's not life and death this moment.
Right.
And he works best when I give him a little lead time and he can think it through. And then when he comes back, he's loaded with wisdom. He's got so much wisdom. And
Glad you think so.
And then, well, you do, yeah. And then when I come and kind of, this is what we need to talk about, you've already prepared yourself and you're ready. So as a chaser, I've had to learn how to kind of calm myself down and slow down and then work with you. Yeah, I don't know, but you guys, did you find yourselves in there? Are you runner, chaser?
I'm a runner, but I can also be a chaser as well. So I find
You're a
that
runner
I'm a
with
little
chaser tendencies.
Right.
Okay.
That sounds like our
Right, so I
dog
could
that
be-
chases his tail sometimes.
Those little paws we hear walking around the kitchen right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, I find that I'm a little bit of both, and because Michael is more of the conversationalist, I find that he is more of a chaser. Right? I'll let you answer your own, but I find that he's more of a chaser, and I tend to just like, oh yeah, okay, just give me a minute, and that minute turns into an hour, and then 2 hours, and then he's like, oh well, another minute, please, right? So sometimes I just, and I realize that, okay, you need to just gather your thoughts, get yourself together, and have this conversation, right? Because the more you dodge it, then the worse it's gonna get. So just have the conversation.
You know, as a guy who sort of ran for a living,
That's true.
chasing and running, right? Either one of them will suit, right? And sometimes chasing is the way to go, and or you feel that's the way to go, and it's not, right? And so you relent, right? And so I've learned to chase, and I've learned to run, yeah. And so I think naturally I probably because I am a talker, I like to go ahead and sort of put things on the table, but I've also come to understand that now is not always the right time.
Yeah. And that leaves us. So,
Runner.
I was going to say, at the
Chaser.
very beginning of our relationship, I was the runner and you were the chaser.
Oh, we're talking about courting now. That's different.
But ever since then, it has flipped. I'm the chaser, he's the runner. I'm
Once
like
I
you,
caught
Aaron.
her, she
Yeah.
turned around and started chasing me. And I started running again.
When the conflict ensued, I'm like you said, Anne, like I just want to deal with it and we have to get this worked out now. And I think what helps me is when I hear from him, I want to work this out too. We're going to figure it out. We're okay. Just give me a minute.
Right.
And
Will that work? I'm asking. I'm going to try that.
And how long is your minute that you need?
Yeah, I don't know. It depends.
He's been known to have his little man cave where
Sure,
he needs
yeah.
to process. He needs to process. I think I process at a much more rapid pace than you do.
Yeah, no, I'm a slower processor for sure. I think my favorite phrase from that teaching was where he said that we're accidentally egging each other on.
Yeah.
And that was just like a light bulb for me, because I feel like as we've talked about on so many different, really this crosses so many different facets of things we've talked about on A Better Us, and when we accidentally egg each other on. Right, where we marry someone who's very different than us across the board. It just happens, male, female, obviously, but then other even personalities difference, and we accidentally egg each other on these different things. But then he says the thing to get through it is to talk about it, like to kind of pull yourself out of the emotion really of the moment, and I think this again applies to so many different subjects. So press pause, whether it's press pause and pray, press pause and let's come back to it, whatever. But pull yourself out of the emotion of it and have the wisdom to say, we're okay, like he's saying to say, but we're going to talk about this, but to realize, okay, what is the pull myself out of the emotion of it for a second and think, what is the fear in me that's making me run, or what fear am I bringing out in her by running or whatever? Just that pause. And not egging each other on.
I think you hit the nail on the head, because I think that it triggers right into our deepest needs, especially as women, our deepest need of security. So if my chasing him to talk through the answer, come to a conclusion, is based out of my need to feel secure in this relationship, because if you're pushing me away, saying I don't want to talk about this right now, I start feeling like insecure. Well, don't you care? Don't you want to work on this? Isn't what I think valuable in your mind? Like, isn't this something that we should be? So if it triggers something that's really deeply embedded in me, then that is worth talking about too, because it's something that goes across the board. It can relate to any situation you'll talk about, because you need to know the deeper inner need.
And for a guy whose kind of mega need is this honor and respect, I think if my wife is chasing me down and demanding answers now, and I'm thinking, okay, that's kind of a feeling an attack against my need for respect. Respect me, respect my space right now.
It feels
respect
controlling.
You're feeling like you're controlling me, and respect my need to just kind of think things through and the way I operate, and so. This whole topic as runners and chasers has to do with conflict, and how do you deal with that? And then one of the things, and you mentioned it, Dan, about prayer, and sometimes not only prayer by yourself, but if you calm down enough and you're talking together, and maybe before you get to the solving part of it, just pray together. Yeah. Well, how powerful is that? You're just kind of it's putting yourself aside in your own agendas and say, God, what's your agenda in this? Like, how would you want me to act and talk, and how do we come to agreement on this?
We're not running and chasing, we're together running to him.
Chasing him,
Exactly. And the good thing is, he's there. Yeah. He's offered, like the Bible says, if you lack wisdom, ask, and he'll give it lavishly. Yeah. But we just come to him together.
That's it. That's it. Yeah. I love what you were saying, Dan, when he talked about the what's threatening about this. Like, what is it, the tone of the conversation? Are you afraid of the tone that you use with one another with the conversation? It's important, Ron, like you were saying, I try to find myself when we're in that situation to just whisper a prayer and say, God, guard my lips. Like, whatever come out in this conversation, let it not be hurtful, let it not be, but guard my lips, because sometimes I have a tone, and I know that I have a tone. And so I want to say what's in my heart and what's on my mind, but there's a way to say it
without your lips sabotaging.
Exactly. And so it's important that you think about that before you go into the conversation.
And I think we as women, in general, we just need to embrace that. That's really good, Diane.
Right.
Yeah.
Both of you guys actually said we're talking about the mega need for the girl to feel secure and the need to be respected. And what I realize is, if we both take care of each other that way, then we are both having our needs met.
That's good.
If we're doing it in a healthy way.
That's exactly what I was going to say, is that when I am at my best, right, it's not about my needs, it's about her needs, right? And that's why I say I've learned to become a runner and a chaser, right? So, and when I'm at my best, I understand that even if she's retreating, right, doesn't mean that I can too. We don't have to be a runner and a chaser. We could both be, runners at some point if we need that space, right? And
Yeah, that's good.
Good. All right, guys. This has been great. Thanks for tuning in. If you are watching maybe after this has gone to air and you're watching online or YouTube or something and you're saying, what do they talk about runners and chasers? Maybe you missed the teaching that was in front of it. You can look for Dr. Jonathan Hoover and see that segment and get the fuller understanding. But I love being able to listen to an expert and then just back talk it and just unpack it a little bit more.
And all of our episodes of A Better Us are actually on our website,
Yeah.
abetterus.tv, so you can catch up with us there too.
Lots more there too. Stay with us.
Yeah.